And we're back just about before the break ended. I actually ran and got something to drink just to, as I like to talk a lot during these things, it actually helps me focus a little more too, as long as I'm not messing around. Like, that's one thing I actually do have a problem with playing cash games sometimes online. So I surf the web and I'm not paying attention enough. I know there's always the auto replayer, but I like to basically see it actually happen. So plus, if I'm reading something on like sports or whatever, these guys don't know it's no limit right now, I don't think. But anyway, yeah, if I'm reading on something that interests me or whatever, I might start thinking about that and then not focusing while I'm in a hand or something like that. Yeah, Professor Calculus just said whoops. He wasn't aware that it was no limit. If this guy raises, I would almost say he has a set every time here. Unless he had. The only other hand I could see him having there is the ace high diamond draw, and then he hit his ace. So, but I would almost assume that he had pocket fours or pocket sixes there, just the way the hand was played out. When obviously a small raise, and he just calls on the button. So most likely he has some kind of small pocket pair or suited connector. So he could have ace two diamonds too, or something like that. But so that's 200, and he min raises them back. So now he officially raises him twice in this hand. And the ace wasn't a scare card, so I think it's pretty obvious he had like ace X of hearts, or I'm sorry, ace X of diamonds, or he had a small pair there hit a set. And now we're in no limit, and we get, this is, wow. Usually, honestly, if it was just me and him, I would have folded, but since we're getting 80 chips into like, wow, way too many to fold, just go ahead and call. Middle pair, and check it and see how the hand plays out. Obviously we don't like our hand very much. That is a pretty ugly card too. If he checks to me though, I was going to say I was going to be forced to bet. We're just going to let this go now. So most likely he has a decent underpair. Like if he calls this, I would say he has pocket eights or ace king, but we'll see if he raises. And he's taking his time now too, so, and he calls them. So pocket eights, ace king are all possibilities, and that is a very bad river card for Mr. Essex Ben. I mean for Professor probably. Oof, he flopped a set of jacks. We would have won on the river there, so. He had ace queen, so he was calling for the king. Or the 8. Yeah, or the 8. So we would have won on the river, but I think it's a pretty easy fold on the turn there. It's good to know. We need to note that though. Next time we get we're going to fold that. Need to go back and note how that hand went, because it went, I raised, he 3-bet, or not 3-bet, I'm sorry, like basically min raised us, and then he just called with jacks in the small blind. So min raise, good to know. It's on the button, so we have position, so we can play a little more aggressively, most likely, if he does that again, if we do have like ace-king kind of hands. Let's see. Called a... It's understandable, though, I guess, why he did it, even though his bet was pretty terrible. But he just called a raise, and then it is a re-raise, even though it is the bare minimum of a raise. So, just like I played my jacks earlier very cautiously, because it's a good hand, but there's a lot of flops that are bad for it. So, we hit top pair. He didn't do nothing crazy. So I'm actually going to go ahead and call him once here. That's not a bad card, or not a good card. Now there's Queen 10 available, but he's only betting the minimum, so I'm actually going to go ahead and raise here with top pair and see what he does. He auto called me. I'm going to go ahead and check to him with the king. It's the same guy who bet or called my nice, I think it was a nice check raise with ace high with on that one turn. He had second pair, so the 9 was actually good for him because it gave him extra cards to beat us. But I would have called any bet he made on that river pretty much. So normal bet. I don't know if I would have been able to call an all-in or not, but some players do like to put that much pressure. I'm hoping I can get to that at some point where I can just know when someone's weak enough to just shove on them with the worst hand and get them to fold. I was pretty positive I had the best hand there, so I was just going to check call since I did have a pretty shitty kicker. So, as if I bet that river and then he raises me a pretty, a normal raise, pretty decent raise, I would strongly consider folding it there. And most likely would have folded it with just having the 3 kicker, and there is a flush out there. Wow. Pretty big hand. Jack of diamonds though, so he had the second nut flush and he had the nut flush, so I mean, pretty... I don't know, I look at those kind of hands a lot different too. We haven't seen, I haven't seen Animal play many hands, I don't think. What is he? He's played... Actually, I'm wrong. He's played more hands than I thought. He's played 43% of only 7 though, so we only have 7. But, how much does he have to put in there? He bets 40. He gets called. I know he had ace-jack or whatever, so he flopped a straight. And he gets called twice here, and he just bets small. Wow. Animal shoved. Oof. That's actually kind of difficult, but I don't know. Wow. And he flops the straight one more time. Sheesh. Pretty nice back-to-back flops for him. See how this goes. Blind versus blind, he just shipped, he went all in, I'm assuming, and he called with 7s. No, wow. Maybe he got re-raised, all in. Yep. And then he decides to shove with ace-queen. So, played the hand out. Blind versus blind. In a normal hand like that, say it was blind versus blind, me and Williams, and I had the 7s and he had God knows what. He put the raise in first, so he did the min raise. I would have bet him to probably about 320 to 400, and if I get raised again, I would most likely just fold the sevens there, unless it's just a min raise. I might just flat call to C since I have position, but I probably would lean towards folding. But I'm sure Professor thought his sevens were good there because of the hand that just happened to Essex bend, so that probably played a lot in his decision there. But he has played a lot of hands so far. Wow, he is getting some flop, or hitting some hands here. Ace Jack, Ace Queen, Jack Jack. The first two he actually flopped a straight on. That's pretty crazy. What did this gentleman have over here? A pair of nines. So he's in the big blind. I don't know if I would lose 1,000 chips with 9-3 though, unless I hit 9-9-3 flop, obviously. Any call to raise. I'm just going to stop right there watching because that's just bad. Calling any amount of money with 9-3 offsuit is just stupid. So let's put a note on him for that. Called. Oops. Put a little note that he called that. I know it's the smallest raise you can make, but it's one of the easiest folds you can make. So anything that isn't a hard here or two pair from Texas, I would check. And if I were him, he hit two pair, so there you go. And he beat ace-5, so he was winning the whole time anyway. But if that heart came down and it didn't make him two pair, I would have checked. Because ace-9's not very strong anyway, but we're back to, we've been in limit hold'em, I guess. I just not really played any hands, so. Interesting hand brewing here. This is the one cool thing but also downfall of the mixed games. Say I could have ace-10 here and someone wanted to play jack-queen the whole way down. I'm probably losing a ton of chips here and there's no possible way of getting them off the hand. So it's the bad thing about limit, since the blinds are getting, or the bets are getting bigger. It's 200 on the turn and river no matter what. I know in the limit most hands when you raise and play it out you can be betting a lot more, but limit's almost forced, because if you do hit a good hand and you lose, you're pretty much losing a good maximum. So pocket threes, we brick. I'm gonna go ahead and call them once here. Actually, we're gonna raise.